All right, I want to welcome everyone to the Caldwell County Board of Commissioners meeting for May 12th, 2025. Thank you for those that are in attendance in our audience and those who are online and whatever other medium that you are able to watch this meeting. Our first order of business, we'll have our invocation. David Williams of Sleepy Hollow Bible Baptist Church will come and lead us in that. And then we'll follow that with our Pledge of Allegiance, Commissioner Donnie Potter. So, Mr. Williams.
Thank you for the opportunity. Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you to thank you for another day of life that you've given us and the health and strength to get out and do those things that you've called us to do. Father, we thank you for your provisions, your protection, your presence in our lives. We thank you most of all for your Son, Jesus. We thank you for the salvation that comes through his death, burial, and resurrection. Father, we ask your blessings upon this meeting tonight. We ask you, Father, to lead these men in the right ways. May they always seek your will and work according to your purpose. Father, we just ask you to bless each person who's here tonight and just give them the words to say. And we ask a special blessing on those men and women who serve us each and every day in law enforcement and first responders. Father, we ask your blessings upon them. We ask that you would grant them the respect and the support that they have earned and earn each and every day. And Father, we just want to thank you and praise your name in Jesus' name and for his sake. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Pastor Williams. Are there any amendments to our agenda this evening?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I would ask that we would amend the agenda this evening to strike number 14, items for decision approval to advertise emergency services position. And then also item number 20, our closed session. Need to amend the language in that particular motion to also include General Statute 143-318.11A3, which is to consult with our attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve attorney-client privilege.
All right.
So it's A3 versus A4?
Both.
Oh, it's
A3
both and A4. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hearing the amendments to our agenda, what's the pleasure of the board in adopting our agenda this evening?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept this evening's agenda as the interim county manager is presented.
Any other discussion or comment? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. And our first item is Republic Services, information and updates this evening. So, welcome Republic Services.
Thank you very much. I'm Jenny Holt. I'm the General Manager for Republic Services. With me, I have Mike Lloyd, our Environmental Manager, and Cecil Piner, our Landfill Manager. So we just were asked to come today just to kind of talk about the recent Hurricane Helene storm debris, just to kind of clear. I know there were some questions kind of on Facebook and some questions from citizens, so we thought it would be good just to kind of clear the air and give some basic details. So the landfill currently has 17 employees. And running the landfill, we've been running the landfill in partnership with the county for over 25 years. And our team of operators, managers, technicians, environmental managers, we have over 12 decades of landfill experience. We did start taking the storm debris in January 6th. And we're really only getting the storm debris from 2 FEMA-approved contractors, Southern Disaster and Ashbrit. And every load from Southern Disaster is inspected when it arrives on site and when it leaves on site. To dispel any rumors, our landfill is a non-hazardous site, and the mulch is not hazardous material. We did hear that the storm debris will begin winding down in July, so kind of the influx of volume we'll start seeing kind of decrease. And then I know there were some talks about, we're the only landfill receiving the debris, but that's not true. There's other landfills that are receiving the debris. And I wanted to kind of give an update to the citizens too about all of the testing that is required of our landfill because it's a Class D landfill. I know there were some comments about not having our landfill turn into the Lick Mountain landfill, and the two landfills are vastly different. So just some high level, you know, the groundwater is tested twice a year, the stormwater is tested quarterly. We have monthly visual inspections of the sediment areas and outfalls. We do odor inspections daily, air emission inspections quarterly. We have a full-time gas inspector on site. And through all of these inspections, we've had 0 NOVs and 0 AOCs. And as I said, you know, we're a Subtitle D landfill. We are a non-hazardous waste landfill. And we do not accept hazardous and liquid waste at the landfill. And then also wanted just to kind of remind everybody that we do run 9 convenience sites. And I know a lot of the other counties around the area, not Caldwell County, but some other counties actually have to pay to dispose of their waste, but residents can come to the 9 convenience sites and dispose of free, and we haul for free to our landfill. So, you know, we had a recent inspection from NCDEQ, and they actually came and said it was the best it had looked in a really long time. So I wanted to give a shout out to Cecil publicly because he's done, even with the influx of traffic, a tremendous job, you know, keeping the working face small, covered, litter controlled, all of that. So, and we appreciate the partnership over the last, 25 plus years. Any questions?
All right. Anybody have any questions this evening?
What about the pictures that we saw? I know you corrected, and I guess DOT closed the shoulders of the road. Oh, here. But is there anything we can do to eliminate some of this tractor trailers back, stacking up to get in there?
Yeah, the traffic was worse at the very beginning,
Right.
before Mr. Potter came. The day before Mr. Potter came, I put a letter out to all the haulers coming in, letting them know that we want to push the mulch back instead of coming in when we open at 6 until they couldn't come in until 8 o'clock in the morning. So that diverted the traffic, and we also told them they couldn't stay overnight on our facility. They had to stop at a rest area wherever they needed to while they were traveling or en route towards us. The contractors that are coming in aren't Republic employees, so I asked them to do, that's why I made the changes for the landfill to where they couldn't come in with the mulch till 8 o'clock, giving us that 2-hour window so they won't backing up at the gate. So that was the biggest issue and the biggest concern. Mr. Potter closed the road there, which stopped the guys from parking on the side of the road, which helped eliminate that. And it's kind of diverted the traffic a lot. We do have our peak times. When our peak times come in, we close down our outbound scales, so both scales are running as inbound to try to get the traffic off the highway as quickly and as feasible as possible.
But a picture was taken this morning of trucks backed up.
The line this morning was the trucks stopping outside of our gate and not coming in. We actually went down there and moved them in once the rain started. There was no line inside the landfill past the gate. Those trucks stopped before you get to our gate and lined up on the outside waiting on 8 o'clock is what they were doing. So we went down there and moved them forward.
I've seen a picture of trucks lined up at that convenience store down there, that before you get there.
Yeah, I have no idea on that one, to be honest with you, sir.
And you have no control over that,
No,
I
I know they do
understand.
park, I know Hilco and some of the other guys do park down there, and I know the mulch trucks have been stopping down at that store now before they come to me. Yes.
How many trucks are you taking a day
On an average day, probably about 285.
of mulch or just
No, all-
everything?
Everything total.
And a normal day without the Hurricane Helene debris?
The mulch traffic, we're getting anywhere from 50 to 75 trucks a day in the mulch. And then the Helene storm debris is roughly 15 to 25, just depends on the day.
So not close to half.
No. Majority of our traffic is our small truck traffic, which is your local vendors, whether it's a Republic or whether it's
City of
the
Lenore.
other companies, the city of Lenore, different things. Like the small truck traffic is majority of the traffic.
Do you know of the other landfills in the area that are taking the debris off the top of your head?
It's,
The upstate landfill in Union, South Carolina takes actually even more than we get at Foothills.
Does Buncombe County have a landfill?
As far as I know, they do. I haven't been
Yes.
involved in a long time, but they used to. I assume they still do. I don't know. It's probably a more correct answer.
And you said that it should be winding down in July, the
Yes.
debris?
Yes. That's what we were told by the
When did we approve the
contractor.
6-month thing? When did we approve it? It should be ending, it should have been ended in March. I mean, I don't understand why we're still taking it if we approved it and then it ain't supposed to.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah.
interrupt. October 14th.
Yeah.
So it should have ended in March. So why are we even taking anything now?
The storm debris started on January the 6th.
Huh?
The storm debris started coming in on January the 6th.
Well, we approved it then, but I mean, we should be ending by now.
What he's referring to is we extended the capacity. Remember, we allowed you to dump more, right?
Yeah, at the-
That's what he's referring to, is the.
Yes.
For 6 months.
For 6 months.
So
At the
we're
start of the
outside of
We're
that.
past that 6 months, so are you still taking more than, the storm debris?
Are you
than-
taking more than your daily daily
We'd
limit
have to
now?
get back to you guys on that,
I'd have to run the numbers.
yeah.
Because our numbers run from July to July for as far as our quota for the tonnage. So I have to actually pull the numbers
But that
together.
when we approved it from.
Yeah.
It was,
So if it's over, we need to stop now. We need to stop it now.
I agree.
Yeah.
You need to let us know about that, because if you're outside of your 6-month allowed to be,
Dumping more than.
yeah,
Okay.
dumping more than you're
I
supposed
think
to.
we had, and we can get back to you for sure, I think we had interpreted start of the debris, because when we had the letter, it was before we never started getting debris until
January 6th.
January, yeah, but we can definitely
Well, that ain't our
get you
fault.
the numbers.
That's correct. That's not.
That's not our fault.
That is-
I'm gonna
been
suggest,
the state
until you
waived it.
find out, an immediate pause,
Yeah, me too.
until we can find out. Immediate pause starting tomorrow, 12 PM to 12 AM tonight, immediate pause until the numbers can be figured out, and if you're under the tonnage, okay, but that's still, the contract ran out, as
In March.
Commissioner Branch said, at the end of March, so there should be no extra tonnage other than what you're allowed to have. And so I'll go ahead and make that in a form of a motion, that is, that an immediate pause be on debris, trash, until we find out the numbers. I'll make that in the form of motion.
All right. Is there any other discussion about that?
And, Mr. Blers, you're talking about the Helene-related debris as well, to be specific?
The amount of tonnage that we allowed them to have over the amount, which I don't think it was Helene debris specifically, it was just a tonnage over the amount that we allowed them to do for 6 months, and which expired in March.
Which have already probably went way over.
I understand. I think it was a board motion essentially back in October, as county manager pointed out, and I don't know that there was any amended contract at the time, so I wouldn't call it the contract, but I understand the gentleman's motion is basically, at this point, to rescind that motion, or either to say, to the extent we just don't know if we're still within that period that was extended, the commissioners are revoking that prior authorization, so to speak.
To put a pause.
There you go, yeah. Put a pause, okay, I understand, yep.
Just a
I think
pause.
that's fine, yeah.
And I don't know if this is relevant. The state of North Carolina basically exempted Hurricane Helene debris through September 25th of this year. I don't know if this is just a local decision you guys have made, or if it's tied to, a state agency. But the state has agreed that, the hurricane debris would not be counted against tonnage limit.
And take it somewhere else.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, I don't want to have to replace a landfill no quicker than what we need to.
And I think he was running over from where he should have been right now, so.
So our life is
Well,
still
we-
12 years.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
we agreed to that. I mean, the overage tonnage, and I get that. We
No.
agreed to that. But that agreement ended in March, and we should put a pause on it until we find out further information.
Yeah, it's not a problem. And the mulch also does not go against the airspace. The mulch is actually mixed with dirt and used as cover. So the mulch actually doesn't affect the airspace at all when it comes to the life of the landfill.
But it's not all mulch, it's building materials too,
Yeah,
also.
we'll halt that. That's not a problem. But just talking about the mulch side, what they were what our residents were concerned with the trucks backing up, that mulch doesn't go against the life of this landfill site at all.
So why does that mulch have to come here? Why can that mulch not go somewhere else?
I don't know.
It has to go to a landfill. I know there's two different landfills.
But
that
does it have to be our landfill? Can it not go elsewhere? Can it not go to Union County or wherever?
Union County's got plenty,
8,000 tons a day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why can they not sell it?
I just,
not allowed
again,
to
my
be sold,
motion
but it's-
is just to put a pause until we find out more information.
And,
Okay.
you know, we've got 12 years of capacity left. In the big picture, you know, we increase our compaction, that number doesn't change much. Disasters and large projects like this, if you will, you know, in the big picture, don't really change the life of the landfill that much.
I
Well,
respect that.
On your frequently asked questions, how much longer will the landfill be receiving storm debris? How long is that supposed to last? I mean, do you know?
That's what we think it's gonna be
I think we're
tapering off.
thinking it's tapering down in July. I believe
Okay.
is where
So you think it'll be over with in July, not just
Yeah.
taper down?
I
Okay,
would say that's a fair statement.
okay,
I think Mr. LaBrosse has got a motion.
yep.
He does. I just want to make one clarification to make sure, because I'm looking at the notes from that meeting, and it referenced the state of emergency. Are we still, is the state still in a state of emergency?
My understanding is not, but maybe we could ask Trevor.
Jeff, you know if the state is still in a state of emergency over that storm?
The letter we have from the DEQ indicates that, I believe they're considered in a state of emergency from September 25th, with the day Helene hit, of last year till September 25th of this year. And that's how long the exemption lasts, on the tonnage for the storm debris.
That's not considering us, though. You can send it anywhere you want to for storm debris.
Yeah. As long as we're within that. Don't want to, I don't want our attorney over there to have to defend us somewhere.
And our interpretation of the letter was the extension was when the material didn't start until January, so,
Abby, do you have a copy of that motion,
I got it right here.
the one he made that night?
Yeah.
Does it say anything about?
Says Vice Chairman LaBrosse made the motion to increase capacity for as long as the state of emergency is in effect, and in no event less than 6 months, at which time the board will revisit the matter and subject to DEQ approval. So that was a motion that was adopted October the 14th.
For 6 months,
For
or the state of.
no
emergency.
less than 6 months, or the state of emergency ended, whichever one happened first.
we have approval, right?
So I was just asking if the state of emergency is still in effect.
And we could definitely send the letter afterwards too.
Yeah, we can send you a copy of this. It's from the DEQ.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a state of emergency, what they're saying. But anyway, we typically sign county states of emergencies when we have events, and I know as far as on a county level, that certainly has ended, but, all right. Well, we've got a motion to have a pause by, Mr. Vice Chairman Mike LaBrosse, and so I'll call the question unless there's any other discussion. All in favor of the pause, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that carries. So I guess you folks, and I know you probably ain't going to get a truck stop tonight that's on the way, but we need to have some more discussion with our manager and see where we are on this overall project, especially as far as the tonnage that's coming in. Because we're sitting here on the other side, you're saying we've got 12 more years. I'm like, oh crap, we've only got 12 more years, right? Bring it all in and we've only got 10 more years. So, we think, and what we're looking at, and so that the public will know, once that time period ends and we can no longer bring our trash into our, landfill here, we're gonna be like everybody else, shipping it away from here. And so that will impact us somewhere on the neighborhood of about $6 million, the way we got it figured. And so I'm just put you on notice in the public. That's a penny a million right now. So that's 6 cent increase in our property tax when that time comes that we're gonna have to pay for shipping our garbage somewhere else. And it is garbage, unfortunately. So there's two important things in this world, and that's where you're gonna get your fresh drinking water, and the second one's where you're gonna put your trash. So, and this has been a topic of conversation for many years for us, so. Anyway, anybody else got anything, or y'all have anything else you wanna ask, say, do?
I'd just consider that, I think the state considers the state of emergency to last until September of this year. If your original motion was tied to the state of emergency, I think it goes through September of '25.
If I may, the state of emergency ended on the state level on March the 1st. We have
Okay.
not yet rescinded our local state of emergency, but we were waiting on the state to rescind theirs.
Okay, so 6 months or March the 1st, sound like everything's tied to March,
Okay.
and we're in May. So if y'all will make something happen, we would certainly appreciate it. Now, I do have a question, I don't know if y'all can answer this, but we've had some citizens addressing the Pisgah Church Road. Why would we have tractor trailer trucks on Pisgah Church Road?
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's
They
kind of
are.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I mean, if the transfer trucks are there, they're not Republic trucks. So they're the individual
Yeah, they're
haulers
just-
from around the county that's hauling them, but there
Well,
shouldn't
you
be
do
any
get-
trucks on Pisgah.
You guys do from time to time have Republic trucks on it, and I get calls about it quite frequently, and then I'll call, and then y'all tell them not to be on there, and then
Yeah.
you get a new driver, and,
Yeah.
so they are on it
We
from
may
time to
need
time.
to contact the DOT about signing
Yeah.
that properly,
Yes.
no trucks or something.
That would be the easiest move to make.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
I'll take that responsibility.
all right, anybody else? Well, thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
Next is a presentation on Foothills Medical Transport, IVC patients, and we have with us Tommy Fight.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good
to be here.
evening.
Thank you for the opportunity and the time this evening. I am Tommy Fight. I'm the owner of Foothills Medical Transit based out of Morganton, North Carolina. Been in business since 2012. Started it up from my backyard. A couple of used vans and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and prayers went into our company. 13 years in now, we're an incorporation employing over 10 employees, and we've been very blessed. We're here this evening to actually present hopefully a helpful case for the county. After speaking with the Burke County Sheriff's Department and the hospital, and then our results that we've seen from Burke County, our kind of our home county, we believe that we're going to be a very valuable asset to this county moving forward. But we need your support in order to get there. In Burke County, back in 2017, we had been helping the UNC Blue Ridge Morganton Hospital with their involuntary patients. By statute, the Burke County Sheriff's Department and the local Sheriff's Department is responsible for those transports. However, as most of you folks are well aware, that has become an increasing burden upon the Sheriff's Departments. And so back in 2017, we visited the Burke County Board of Commissioners to come in to assist the Burke County Sheriff's Department with transporting IVC respondents. And so that required a level of training on our behalf, and then a level of cooperation with the local hospital, which they were more than happy to accept our assistance because of the overwhelming numbers that were coming through Burke County. Now, today, they actually call us first instead of the Burke County Sheriff's Department. It's pretty much a mutual agreement that the Sheriff's Department is busy. They have to take officers off of the road and, from serving the county. And so that's where we come in. We have literally reduced the number of involuntary committals out of that hospital by half. We were already taking the voluntary committals, so the Sheriff's Department didn't even have to worry about those to begin with. And so we are here to present the same case for Caldwell County. after speaking with the chief, the sheriff, and a couple of the captains inside the sheriff's department, it is very obvious that there is a growing need for this type of transportation. Where we need your assistance, though, is by statute, the sheriff's department has to do those transports unless the local county deems another avenue in that. And so per statute, by your motions, you can actually make us available to do involuntary transports and to handle these respondents. Hopefully, you've got the plan of action before you. The plan of action details the number of statutes that are called out by name, including the ability to come in, to take respondents, to restrain them if necessary, and to take them to 24-hour facilities 24 hours a day. Our company runs 6 days a week at 24 hours, and then on Sundays, we run about a 10, 12-hour shift. We take Sunday nights off. So that's really the only time that our company's not available for the transportations. We have, I think, been a very valuable commodity to the community anyway. We've worked alongside of Caldwell EMS. Those guys have been fantastic with us, helping with lift assist and some things. I've spoken with their director several times, and so we have, we've really, moved up in this level, and so that's what we're here to do. I want to talk to you just briefly about the involuntary respondents that we've had. I've brought with me the gold seal from Burke County that shows where our county commissioners gave us the authority. That is signed on the plan of action that was actually the resolution. You should have a plan of action and a resolution before you that we have submitted to the sheriff's department.
No, they didn't send that over, unfortunately, and
Okay.
I don't think our chief deputy's here tonight. I know he was heading all that up, and
Okay.
so nobody back there knows what.
I've got how many we have per month, and I've got our total mileage with me right
Yeah.
now.
But you don't have the resolution then?
You don't have the resolution
That we
to
need.
present tonight that
And
we
I
need,
apologize for
so.
that. I
Yes,
thought
sir.
that part was handled.
No
Yeah,
worries.
we thought it was too.
Because that was, that
We were
should have been a
expecting
part of the agenda, so
Yeah,
I
we were
do apologize.
expecting you.
Yeah, we had a meeting on this about a week and a half ago,
Well, I'll see you guys
so.
next month. But, no, I think that's something we can get into your place, for your attorney to look over, to put
Yeah.
into action if you guys deem it that way, or I can revisit next month with that material firmly placed on the agenda. And that's where I have to apologize a little. We got moved to agenda very quickly.
Yes,
And
sir.
so it actually surprised me, because it took me about 2 months in Burke County, to get all that through, and then it took about 8 months to get all this into officiality with the hospitals and everything else. And so that's the next step, is if you folks deem this to be a valuable commodity and allow us to have that authority to take your involuntary respondents into custody, just like a sheriff's officer would, then our next step is, which I have presented on Wednesday at 2:30 with the hospital, we have to have their amendment to the contract to be able to handle the involuntaries. Even with the authority, we have to have their blessing to go in behind that legally. So, you guys are step number one. And so we have been doing these since 2017. Out of those, we've had one escape, and that actually happened at the hospital level. He escaped the custody of the security guards at the hospital, not from our custody directly. And so we have actually had a 100% success transfer rate on these. In regards to any patients that may present a volatile or extremely violent situation, we have asked the sheriff's department to come alongside of us and to either help us fully restrain those individuals or to transport them directly.
Yeah.
Especially if they've got criminal past. So in those particular cases, the sheriff's department would be able to still help us and assist us in those. But, when you're driving 300 miles to the coast and you've got an officer off the field for over 11 hours, this is where our service becomes extremely valuable. And so,
Just bring that back to us next month, and we'll get it
The one
done.
question I have is, what's the cost to the county?
zero.
Yep.
You actually
Bring
gain-
it, can you go get it and be here by 7?
We'll wait on you.
I'll tell you what, if you got some whiteout, I can amend this one right here. It's a little old and dated, but we can white it right out and put Caldwell right in there.
We'll-
I've got,
Department, someone go over there?
I've got one question.
Yes, sir.
I did, I did, just so y'all know, I have spoke to Sheriff Hinsman, and he speaks very highly of these folks, so I feel I'm good with it. But my question is, and I ain't really, just now thought about it, where's the liability lie? Do you cover the liability as well?
We have 100% of the liability. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And a part of the, see, again, this is unfortunate that you guys don't have the resolution. It
That's part of
displays
it.
all of our insurance in place.
Okay.
$1.5 million per vehicle, $2 million aggregate per incident. So, and that's where we have to have the contract amended from the hospital, to transfer that liability and the custody of those patients.
Surely someone's got it, they can bring it over to us.
Well, we ain't gotta wait another month.
That's right.
Yeah, you mind waiting a little bit?
At your disposal, but,
We can come back to you if we can actually get a copy of this thing, if
Okay,
you've
yeah,
already
and
presented it.
again, I
And-
apologize.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
It's all good.
It's not your fault.
I actually have the email from Captain Filial, I believe, that has that information.
Yeah.
So I'll look that up, but if, do you gentlemen have any other questions about our reliability or anything? Because, see, that's one thing that we're gonna present to the hospital on Wednesday, is with the sheriff's department feeling the kind of the grind from this, the response times have really decreased. And so what that happens is it creates an overflow in the ERs.
Right.
And so we've been helping, it started with Sheriff Wisnant in Burke County. And what we've noticed is that the ERs at times will just get overflowed with these. And so what that does is put that extra dependency upon the sheriff's department to carry out all these respondents. And so that's all your sheriff's department ends up getting done, is just
Right.
shipping these folks across the county and the states. And I mean, you know, UNC, since they're not affiliated with, I'll get you a little bit of business mind here of how UNC works. We were working with Blue Ridge Atrium Health, and our number one destination was Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where we took a vast majority of our respondents. However, when UNC took over, they're not sending those folks to
Atrium.
Opposition, correct,
I
yes,
got
sir.
you.
They're gonna send those to home facilities. Well, guess where that is? Winston-Salem is the closest we go. UNC Butner in Raleigh, Holly Hill in Raleigh, and then even further to Leland and Jacksonville. Those represent a minimum of 7 to 8 hours of officers off the road. And so what we have to convince the hospital is that with a decrease in service from your sheriff's department, because it's just not feasible to continue the level of service that you've been able to, which is amazing, by the way. Your county is absolutely amazing. In doing that, they've just gotten, I think, to the grind now where they just can't handle the volume.
Right.
And so
And
that's where we can
That's what was
assist.
presented to us as well, so we
Yes, sir.
understand it.
Okay,
And so we appreciate you being willing to take that on. And if you can hang out a little bit, maybe we'll get that in here.
okay. And like I said, I actually have the email from Captain
Yeah.
Filial, so,
Can you email the resolution to Abby?
that's what I was gonna do.
If you can
is
mail
see
it
if
to
I can do
her, yeah, she'll print it off.
that. Okay. Do you folks have any other questions about our company, about the transports themselves, or anything else that I can answer?
Where would you respond from? I mean, would you try to put something here close, or?
So
or
we
you-
spoke to Captain Filial about potentially a satellite, office or
Right.
staging area, and we actually might keep some vehicles here, because we've already spoken with those guys about that very thing. We would actually be responding from Burke County, but our response times on involuntaries, as they stand right now, even in Burke County, is 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And so, with Caldwell, I add 30 minutes to that. So,
Right.
our response times are very quick.
That-
We,
that's great.
even with,
I was trying
coastal
to make sure
trips.
you wasn't coming from Charlotte or
Yeah.
somewhere. you
no,
know,
sir,
that's
we're
all
right
I
here
was
in Burke
asking.
County, right out of
Non-sworn
Morganton.
personnel, I'm assuming, non-sworn personnel.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Now, we do employ, at their disposal, retired and/or off-duty officers for extra money opportunities. We've
Yeah.
already presented that to the sheriff's department. So those folks actually have an ability to make some extra income as a part of this, so, but, yes, sir, correct.
Are you set up for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
Except for
7
Sunday
days a
night.
week.
Sunday night.
Except
All
for
right,
Sunday
6
night?
days a week, except on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
That's the only night that we would not offer.
What happens on Sunday night if something happens?
So if we get an involuntary, that would have to be taken out past the 4:30 timeframe. Either A, it would, if it's an immediate need, it would transfer to the sheriff's department, or B, we would ask that it get deferred until the Monday morning.
Yeah.
Okay. If it goes to the sheriff's department, is that person there gonna be waiting on y'all? Or are we still transporting them on a Sunday?
So you would be responsible for the
Yeah, we'd
transport. If
have
we
to
have to defer it
transport.
to the sheriff's department, then the sheriff's department would have to take it. We would no longer be involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
But our whole plan here is to try to intervene on your behalf and to keep these officers in the county.
Right.
What does the law state? In other words, how many hours when they told us in that meeting that, does our sheriff's department have to transport them? In other words, if it goes in on a Sunday after the time you're saying, can we have till Monday morning till y'all can get there, or is it gotta be quicker than that?
So your statutes state very clearly that that the response time for involuntary committals should be 6 hours, within 6 hours. However, there's also a little tiny word that kind of messes all that up, if feasible, okay? And so the if feasible is, you tell me what that means. So if we are not in service on Sunday nights, it's not feasible for my company to be there. If your sheriff's department is overloaded on Sunday night, it is not feasible for them to be there. So Monday morning will be when the IVC is taken out.
I think that's something you and our sheriff can work out.
We have already done that. Yes, sir.
Yeah. What'd you find out?
So an update from Chief Deputy Kirby. He said that they have a meeting with the hospital next week and hoping for some agreement with the hospital on some terms there before we would have to do a resolution, according to him.
So that's a little actually incorrect, okay?
Okay.
And here's the reason why. I have to produce your gold seal to the hospital to show that I have the authority to be able to take the respondents into custody before I can legally contract with the hospital to take said respondents. I have actually asked the sheriff's department to kind of step back a little, and let me take it from here, and the reason is because I'm the one contracted with the hospital. That's gonna be on me now
Yeah.
to get that done. Everything that I need legally sits right here with you folks.
Yeah.
And so, once I have the authority, I now walk in there as a sheriff's officer. No offense, guys, I'm not a sheriff's officer. But I have the authority of the sheriff's office with me.
Right.
And, and so once we have that authority,
I
then we
understand.
can say we can take
We're
these
just giving him a
respondents.
franchise agreement. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're doing. Yeah,
Same thing we done with the private ambulances, so.
you're exactly right. I'm
But
okay
we
with
need a
doing-
resolution, I
I'm
assume.
okay doing it tonight if we get our hands on it.
If I may weigh in, under the circumstances of what they deal with, which at times can be dangerous, and you deal with a lot of issues of liability, I would suggest giving us a chance to review the proposed agreement first. And of course, we don't have it yet, so, which is not his fault, but I don't know whose fault it is, but we haven't had a chance to look at it. So obviously, y'all make the call, but my advice is let us take a look first to see what, if anything, needs to be changed under.
Gonna have to get everything to our attorney, so.
Okay, and again, I believe that I've got the amended resolutions and contract agreements on my email, so that I might be able to just send that directly to her right now. And for your records, I actually have, it's the exact same jargon that we used in Burke County. If you want to look over that, it's just been amended to include, instead of Burke County, Caldwell County. So I'd be more than happy to let you review this. I can't let you keep it, though. That's a lot of stuff right there, but I would be more than happy to let you view that right now if you so choose.
If you want to send that to Abby, she can send it to me, and as we move along in the meeting, I guess, depending on how much action's going on, I'll try to take a look at it.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you coming.
Yes.
And you can go with our blessings to the hospital. If we don't get all this done tonight that we want to, then you can certainly tell them you've got our backing and support in your presentation.
Okay,
That'll help move them along a little bit over there on their side.
hopefully so. That's the missing piece to the puzzle.
Right.
I know the sheriff's department is really looking forward to that relief. And I'm sure the citizens are looking forward to having more sheriff's officers in their county. But Unfortunately, a big part of that resides in the hospital. They're an independent entity. They're about making money. This is gonna cost them a little, and so we've got to get them to understand, you know, the ways in and the
Right.
ways out of it. So hopefully we can.
And
be
it,
reasonable.
once we get you on board, how long to implement for your company?
Instantly for us.
Okay,
That,
Alright.
but that's for us personally. We're at the mercy of the contract of the
Right.
hospital.
I got
It's
you.
already taken about 2 months. We've been working on a different contract agreement with UNC Caldwell, and it's been 2 months in the making. We haven't gotten that resolved yet, and now we'll have to add an amendment to it to do this. Unfortunately, we're handicapped by that. Even with your authorization, I can't step into that hospital and take out
Right.
a respondent
Yeah.
until they amend that into their, and that's what I've explained to the sheriff's department is, you guys are step number one. But unfortunately, you're kind of the easy step, you know, because we're here to help you guys out. Now it's trying to transfer some of that to the hospital.
yes, sir.
And that's
All
gonna
right.
take a little bit of time.
Well, we appreciate you coming tonight and look forward to working with you.
Okay,
All
absolutely.
right.
Absolutely, thank you, sir.
Do you need me to stay longer or?
No, I don't
Get
think
that to
so,
her?
because time we get everything done here this evening, we've got to get into a closed session in a little bit too, so.
Okay.
And we got a couple other topics to talk about. It's gonna take a little time.
Sure.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is a proclamation of Older Americans Month, Kim Arnett and April Wiles Williamson.
Missed emergency services.
You missed emergency services, number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go. I'm sorry, y'all ladies, wait. I missed it. So proclamation of Emergency Services Week. I know. I'm rattled. No,
Rattled with the pause.
it's
Thank you,
all
Mr.
good.
Chairman and Commissioners. Every year, the third week of May is designated as EMS Week. In Caldwell County, we roughly have about 500 first responders, EMTs, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers. So at this point, or this time, I'm going to read the resolution to designate the week of May 18th through the 24th, 2025, as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical service is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness and injury. And whereas emergency medical services fills healthcare gaps by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventive medicine, follow-up care, access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical service team consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical service teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is important or appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical service providers by designating the Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Caldwell County declare the week of May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as Emergency Medical Services Week in Caldwell County in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our county and citizens safe.
All right, do I hear a motion we adopt the proclamation as presented?
So moved.
Any other discussion or comment? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries, and thank you, folks. Thank you for
Thank you.
everything you do
Thank you.
for us. Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Snyder, for coming up, representing. You keep on, you can hide behind a dang old tree.
All right, so that moves us to item 4, our proclamation for Older Americans Month, so.
Are we in that group?
I think we
yes,
all
I'll
are.
describe it.
You're in the over the hill game.
Good evening.
Just call me Grandpa.
Jeff's our elder over here.
So I'm going to read the proclamation for Older Americans Month for May 2025. Whereas each May, our nation celebrates Older Americans Month to honor the countless contributions older adults have made and continue to make in our communities, workplaces, and families. And whereas older Americans embody the strength, wisdom, and perseverance that form the foundation of our society, having lived through and contributed to decades of progressive change. And whereas these individuals continue to enrich our communities through volunteering, mentorship, civic engagement, and leadership, sharing their talents and life experiences across generations. And whereas older adults have demonstrated remarkable strength and resilience in overcoming challenges and adversity, adapting to change, and embracing new opportunities to lead fulfilling and meaningful lives. And whereas ensuring that older adults have access to supportive services, health care, affordable housing, transportation, and opportunities for social engagement is essential to fostering a society where people of all ages can thrive. And whereas Older Americans Month provides an opportunity for individuals of all generations to reflect on the importance of inclusion, respect, and intergenerational connection in strengthening the social fabric of our communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Caldwell County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim May 2025 as Older Americans Month in Caldwell County, and urges every resident to take time during this month to acknowledge older adults and the people who serve them as influential and vital parts of our community.
All right, so hearing the proclamation read, do I hear a motion that we adopt it this evening?
I guess since I'm the oldest one up here, by far,
All
I
right.
make a motion that we approve it as read.
Commissioner Branch makes that motion, our elder statesman.
I do want to take a second, thank you guys and your staff for, Celebration of Life was really nice this year. Great turnout, so thank you guys for all your hard work. I know that there's a lot of work that goes into that. If y'all ain't never been to that, it's well worth going. It's there's a whole bunch of work goes into that, so thank you guys for all your hard work.
You're welcome. And we want to say just a few more words, if that's okay. We just really want to impress upon everyone that, age is not just a number. Age is a journey. It's filled with stories, achievements, and lessons that shape who we are as individuals and as a society. We truly believe that aging is a privilege and something to be honored. And so April's going to talk just a minute about how we honor our older adults in this community. Celebration of Life.
So we honor our elders in this community first by celebration of life. We make sure that they have all the resources that they will need throughout their lives there, as well as we make sure that they have resources and just a good time, just to come together and socialize. And, they may get a door prize, or they may get a plant, or, something to lighten their day. That is what we want to see at this event. We also recognize, elder abuse. That's next month, and we are doing something a little different this year, and we're putting on an elder abuse walk that we would like all of you guys to be invited to come and walk with us and show that Caldwell County is against elder abuse.
All right.
What's the date of that?
It's gonna be June 21st. We're still trying to pan out the time, but I believe it's gonna be at one of the schools.
We've had some pretty good partnerships with some other
Yes,
agencies.
this is with the MDT team, that's the multidisciplinary team that I head up. It's multiple teams across Caldwell County as far as, that come together and make sure that we have the resources for our elderly from 18 and over. As well as, you know, I believe that there's some, if there's children, we bring in CPS as well. So, but this team focuses on the elderly. So we would like to put this on to make sure that we get that recognition out.
I will say too, that we had about 268 participants in our Celebration of Life this year. And we've been doing this for 50, I asked at the Celebration of Life because I wanted to announce during the welcome how many years we've been doing this, but I think COVID got everybody thrown off, and so nobody could tell me specifically how many years we've been doing it. They said 50 plus. So we know at least there's been 50 plus years of doing Celebration of Life. So, and like Mr. Potter said, it is such a wonderful event. All the people there have just a great time, and I think one of the most important things about this event is the inclusion and just the social aspect of it, where everyone's getting to talk to other people and see other people, and they get up and dance and they hear music, and they have a resource fair, and they get fed a hot meal, and I mean, it's just, it really is great to see. I will also say our oldest citizen there was 102 this year.
Yes.
Wow.
So, yeah.
All right.
Imagine all of the things that individual has seen in their lifetime.
Feel like I'm learning.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
So I've got to call the question. We've read the proclamation, and Commissioner Branch made the motion to adopt, so all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, and that carries unanimously, so thank you. All right, next, that brings us to item 5, and that's our racetrack ordinance amendment, second reading here tonight. So, Mr. Rash.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, tonight is the second reading of the proposed amendments to the racetrack and drag strip ordinance. And I could read the whole thing, or I can just highlight the changes if you want me to.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with the change, hours of operation, section 3A talks about hours of operations. It would add the month of February and also go to the 15th day of November. So it adds a month in the beginning and about a week at the end of the season. Number 3 under that section says between the hours of 12 and 9 on one of the 2 permitted days, and then between the hours of 10 a.m. and 11 p.m. on the other permitted day. That is a starting time or 2 hours earlier than the current one, which is currently 12 o'clock. And then finally, section 3A, test and tune events permitted. Owner and operator of any racetrack, raceway racetrack, drag strips may schedule and operate test and tune events on weekdays, Monday through Thursday, between the hours of 10 and 4 in each of those calendar months between February and the first 15 days of November. So it does include a new section that would allow test and tune events on weekdays, Monday through Thursday, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
All right, so having that read, I'll entertain a motion of what we want to do this evening.
I think, Mr. Chairman, we need to put this off till we get further information and see till the work is completed and figure out exactly the status of the wall, what the wall's supposed to be, what the wall ain't supposed to be.
All right, so.
Motion to table it, is that what you're saying?
Commissioner-
Just tabling it.
Yep,
Until
We need to get some of this stuff figured out,
okay.
is what we need to do.
Fair enough, fair enough.
If I may weigh in on just on the procedural side of it, I think rather, it wouldn't be a table, you just simply would vote to remove that from the agenda for tonight. The reason you're voting on it tonight is I think the first vote was not unanimous, and so the statute says you have to consider it at the next board meeting, which y'all have done at this point, and statute says that at any time within 100 days after its introduction, which it would have been introduced, I guess, on the date of your last meeting, that you can then vote to approve by majority if you wish to do so. I think your motion would be probably to put it on for the next meeting or to postpone until a future date, something, whichever the board chooses is to give you more time to do so. The only deadline you'd be facing is 100 days from the introduction. Of course, you can always start anew and start that process over anytime you wish as well.
I would make a motion to set it to a different date.
Amend your motion.
Amend my motion.
All right. So any other discussion? I do have a question for our attorney. If we want to change this at this point, something on this we want to change, does that just restart the clock? It would be easier to go back and have the first reading again.
Well, so this is a police powers ordinance, so the rules are a little bit different. It can be approved at its first reading, the introduction of it, if it's unanimous from the board. So if you're all here and it's unanimous, you can do it on first reading. But if you're not all here or the vote's not unanimous on the first reading, then it has to go to the situation we're in now, which is statute says the board must consider it at its next meeting and in any event can approve it within 100 days after the initial introduction. So if you decided that you wanted to change this, let's say you're going to amend the amendment, so to speak, probably the best course of action would be to consider that almost a first reading again.
Yeah.
And if that were unanimous vote, it could be approved. If it were not, or if you didn't have, arguably, everybody needs to be here as well. If you didn't have
Right.
everybody here, then you'd do the same process again and consider that amendment at the second meeting.
So whenever we come again, we'll have to limit any hunting trips, cruises.
So basically, if we want to change it, we could just basically shift everything until his motion and do it all in one setting. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's right. So the second vote, to be clear, the second vote, we're not as much worried about everybody being here for the vote. Just needs to be a majority of the members voting on the second vote. First vote's the one where you really need unanimous approval, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got a motion, and it's amended motion by Commissioner Starnes to delay this activity until we can get a little further information and find out specifically about what the wall is. And so with all that, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries unanimously. So we'll move then to our presentation of the 25-26 budget recommendation, and that's our interim county manager, Mr. Wayne Rash. So give us the good news.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, you do have in front of you at your seats a white notebook, which is your county, your recommended budget for the 25-26 year. And I'll tell you how it's kind of laid out. The first is the budget message, and then the second red tab is your capital outlay and general fund budget. Then you move to information about the water fund. And then the green tab, section 4, is a summary of rate and revenue changes from the fire department request. And then 5, the pink or fuchsia or whatever you want to call that particular tab, is all other annual funds, including the 911 emergency fund, deed of trust fund, sales tax reinvestment, rescue readiness, opioid fund, DSS trust fund, school fines and forfeitures fund, and school sales tax fund. Just, again, you guys have been involved in the preparation of this budget, and so I won't go into a lot of lengthy detail here at the meeting, but what I would say to you is, of course, as you are well aware, we started out this year with requests exceeding $10 million out of balance for our budget, and so including all the requests from our department and outside agencies. And so we've been involved in a process of trying to cut that. And, we've had a lot of meetings, heard a lot of information, and we've done a lot of trimming of that budget. And so what you have before you tonight is a collaborative effort of that, of all of the paring down those requests to something we could afford. The highlights I would mention to you out of this budget is that we're increasing funding for public safety, including our sheriff's department, our emergency medical services, As a board, you all have always made it a priority to provide professional, well-equipped, well-trained public safety officers, and we look forward to strengthening that commitment with this budget. We continue our investments in the Caldwell County Schools and the community college. Even in a difficult budget year, we maintained our level of investment in education. This proposed budget would cut the tax rate from 63 cents to 51 cents. This year's property reevaluation resulted in increased property values for many of our county residents. This budget seeks to offset that increase to the greatest extent possible while maintaining revenue for needed services and avoiding future tax increases. Additionally, reducing this tax rate will lower vehicle taxes for our citizens as well, which I think is an important point to note. The proposed budget also has a continuation of the merit program for our county employees. This program rewards employees for performance and has been a great success over the last several years. This budget invests over $2 million in capital improvements, and this includes funding for new patrol cars, ambulances, and new voting machines that would make elections operate more efficiently in our county. An important thing to note is this budget also creates a new reserve account from landfill proceeds that will help prepare the county for the eventual cost. As we've talked about tonight, the landfill is not going to last forever, and so we're trying to start setting aside funds that will help us prepare for that eventual time and the costs that will be associated with waste disposal when our current landfill reaches capacity. This budget proposal also continues to fund economic development efforts to help bring well-paying jobs to Caldwell County and strengthen existing businesses. And so, with all that being said, again, as you have heard through all of our budget work sessions, incredibly difficult year, but I think we have reached some very sound decisions, and we've worked incredibly hard to create a budget that is now balanced and keeps the tax rate as low as we possibly can achieve. So with that said, I'll be happy to answer any questions and also solicit the help of our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Tony Helton, to help us answer any questions that you all may have.
All right. As our interim manager has stated, we went through a time of budget process, and I'm very proud to say that we really committed a lot of time to this year's budget, and we certainly want to say thank you to our staff who came into all those meetings. I think all total, when we were through, somewhere on the neighborhood of about 7 to 8 meetings we held, being here from 4 in the afternoon till sometimes 11 o'clock at night. And so, but we appreciate our staff entertaining us and giving us all of their recommendations. And we have really diligently looked this budget hard, as Mr. Rash has said, in a tough year. We know the property revaluations and all of that certainly sent up a great concern for us, and as many of our residents expressed that concern. So we are reducing that tax rate, trying to alleviate some of that burden on the taxpayer. But another issue, as stated by Mr. Rash, is anytime we reduce the tax rate, then other taxes are affected, and one of those is vehicle tax. So for what it comes down, we have to make an increase on the property tax side to make up for any shortfalls there. So, and that's the reason the property tax increase is where it is in part as well. So, anybody else got anything you want to say?
I just want to say I appreciate, too, the county employees, interim county manager, for all the work that they've done. Tony, thank you for everything. We've talked about the vehicle tax. People don't realize that that's a good portion of our tax revenue, and going from 63 to the proposed rate, that's going to drop our revenues over $1 million just on vehicle tax, roughly, yeah. So we've got, as Chairman Church just mentioned, you have to make up that shortfall for that. Yeah, I mean, we started out with over $10 million, and it's just like, wow, and I don't think it was a lot of wants, it was a lot of needs, and we just can't supply those needs. The burden on the taxpayer is too great. It always has been, and we've tried to whittle into that. Property taxes, inflation. Just think, Caldwell County hasn't touched their tax rate in over 8 years. The last revalve we had, it was about a 12.5% increase, but that was over an 8-year period. But in the last 4 years, what we have witnessed, not only in this county, but in this state and this nation, I don't really have to explain that. Everybody knows that. And all that trickles down to the local level. And how we deal with that and how we continue to provide the services. The counties, we don't manufacture anything. All we do is provide a service. We provide safety. We provide fire protection, ambulance service, health department, DSS, many, many other, but they're all services. We educate and service our children and our adults and young adults at the community college. So what we do is expansive, but again, we don't make anything to create a revenue. Sure, we have some fees for building inspections and building permits and EMS and some things like that, but as a general rule, we don't make anything. And so that's why it's so difficult for all the services we provide. People often say, well, can't you cut that? Can't you cut this? Well, yeah, you can. But when you pick up the phone and call 911, do you want someone to answer on the first ring? Do you want that fire truck, that QRV, that rescue truck to be at your house in 5 minutes instead of 30 minutes? Do you want a deputy police officer in a critical situation to be at your house in a short period of time instead of a long period of time? Those are all decisions we can make, but I don't think that's what the public deserves. And we, as a group of gentlemen up here, we have to take that into consideration. And so I said this all through the budget situation. This has been the hardest budget I've dealt with, and I'm not kidding. It's a tough one. And so, but I thank you, all department heads, and thank you for the citizens for entrusting us. County's in great financial shape. We have low debt. I mean, you look at the counties around us, and they're not sinking or swimming in debt, but we don't have the debt other counties. We're probably in the low tier in the whole state of our county debt, which is wonderful, wonderful. And we're trying to pay our employees more. We're not there yet, but we have done a tremendous job in the last 3 or 4 years, and we'll continue to strive for that. There are many things that we've set our sights on, but we're just not going to spend our way there. Not going to do it. And so, but that's what I've got.
All right. Anybody else?
Do you think we can go any lower on this?
I was gonna say,
Could we
we-
go
we-
like 49.5 or something? Might make me
We,
feel a little better.
are here this evening, certainly in his recommendation, but our challenge would be, as we continue to work through the process before we get to an adoption time in June, is to see if there's anything else that can be reduced and/or cut from this, and go back to our department heads and ask again. I know we've asked numerous times, but do we really need whatever it is to try to help us to reduce it even more, bearing in mind that we're just wanting to limit all the impact we can on our taxpayers, so.
Because I think what's revenue neutral, right at 47, somewhere right there. And I mean, things have just went up, so I mean, I understand that.
Well, and we don't want to change the tax rate. As what this Board of Commissioners have done historically, we set a tax rate and we don't mess with it for 4 years and we leave it alone. And so when you think about putting in a little bit of cushion in there, be it from 47 to 49.5 or wherever that number can land, which that would be wonderful. 49.25 would even be nice. 49 would even be nice. Whatever we can get to.
Who'll give me, who'll give me, who'll
Who will
give me?
get it? But it's, the thing about it is, we don't want to come back to the taxpayer, because we've not done that. The taxpayers entrusted us to say, okay, you set the tax rate, now don't mess with it. Don't mess with it, and we haven't for 8 years. And so, I think we owe that to the citizen, along with going back and tweaking some more if we can.
Yeah, I think, with all due respect to interim county manager and our finance director and our employees, I think that, I can't support a 51-cent increase. I just can't do that. And my concern is, I've always tried to be an advocate for our employees in this county. And I will reiterate what Commissioner Brose said, but the one thing I will disagree with is, in this particular budget, we're only continuing the merit. We're not taking care of our employees. I don't know what the right number is, but I feel like that, if you look at our salaries across our county, we're way behind, folks, woefully behind. And I can't support a 51-cent, well, I know we're dropping it to 51, but I can't support that without taking care of our employees. They are the backbone of this county. If EMS just decided one day, hey, I'm not gonna go to this call, or if our sheriff's department decided he didn't want to go to the call, or the water department just decided, you know what, I'm not gonna go fix that leak, I'm just gonna let it go. And I could just continue on. They are the backbone of what makes this county tick. Having good, quality employees is important. And I remember, I go back to something that Commissioner Starnes said back during the election process, that if you want good employees, you got to pay them and you got to treat them right. And it's time for us to do something about that. And we've kind of pegged along, and it's an elephant, right? We keep nibbling at the elephant, but the elephant keeps getting bigger, and we're not really gaining any ground. So me personally, I wouldn't be comfortable with this, because in my mind, we're not helping the employees. We're just continuing to do what we've always done, which is a merit increase, and that's great. And I think Commissioner Branch, I'll give him 100% credit for that. It's been one of the greatest things we've ever done. But we need to do more. And this budget doesn't do it. This proposed budget does not do that. So I'm asking the commissioners let's have some conversations around the coming weeks and talk about how we can do that. I'll support above revenue neutral, and I think Commissioner Branch is right. With the cost of everything, I don't see us getting there. I mean, patrol cars now are, what's one patrol car?
100,000.
70.
It was like 70 grand for a patrol car these days.
But finished out, it was.
Well,
100.
70, it was right around 100, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, used to, we could get that car and to buy it for 30 and equip it for probably 45, close to 50. So we just can't do that anymore. So I can't support the only way I'll support anything above revenue neutral is if we take care of our employees. Plain and simple.
All right. Well, anybody else? Don't want to cheat you out of an opportunity. Okay.
And I think we'll have them talks.
Yes,
Just-
sir.
we're
Yeah, we're
not-
continuing to work on
Yeah,
it.
we're not completely done with
So
what we got here.
we just had to make, our interim manager had to make a presentation tonight
That's
to
right.
get the wheels turning. But stay tuned for June. All right. So next is an item for decision on a contract extension with HDR. And again, our interim manager, Mr. Rice.
I get all the fun tonight, don't I?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, Emily was not able to be here tonight with the water department, so she shared the information with me. But basically, so the general contractor on our Collinsville water tank is behind schedule. And so we have a contract with HDR who does the engineering work for that particular project. And so that contract needs to be extended to match the completion date, or projected completion date on the project. I think the new projected completion date now is July, I don't know the exact date, but anyway, before the end of July.
Now, who pays for this extension? Do we have to pay them more for an extension, or should the construction people pay them more? It's behind on their deal.
You know, the contract is for us to pay more. I don't know all the reasons of why why the project is behind. I think some of it's hurricane related, from what I understand. That might be a better question for Barry or some of the.
We're gonna blame it on the hurricane.
Everything gets
Yeah,
blamed on
everything, right.
A few years ago, it was COVID. COVID caused it all.
I'd like to know who's paying and why we'd have to pay if it's a contractor behind on it too before I vote on
Yeah.
this thing.
Yeah, and I
If there's
think,
any LDs on it where they have missed their target
Yeah.
date and have to pay us money because they don't have it online.
Yeah, I don't want to
So
slip one
we
by.
might need to get back on the main contract too. So,
are there any cost if they're over, the reason they're asking for an extension, are they damages? Like on a lot of your commercial contracts, it may be a couple $100 a day.
right,
Were there over on days based upon weather?
yeah.
I'm not.
Huh?
I believe there are liquidating damages in this contract. I'm not sure the terms, but.
Yeah, we need to pull that out. Yep, and,
Can we
go
table
over
this?
that.
So how many days are they over now?
I don't know what the original completion date was scheduled to be. Again, this is kind
That
of.
thing
falling on my
started in
lap again.
January of 24.
I think-
January of 24, we were up there and broke ground, I think,
Cold,
so.
it was cold, I
Very.
remember that.
I talked to our attorney. I think we need to,
Wait until we.
wait and let our attorney go over his contract before
Yeah.
we make a decision on this.
Okay,
Yep.
All right.
fair enough.
So-
I move to I'll make a motion to table.
All right, any other comment or discussion there? Mr. LaBrose has moved to table this item 7, contract extension. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that carries. And that brings us to you again, Mr. Rash, for our consent agenda.
Okay. Next item, of course, the consent agenda. We'll start out number 8, budget revision to close out water capital projects. Of course, the county had several, 3-project Lakeview Park water line replacement, Kincaid Hill water line expansion, Draco RV Park. Those projects are not all now completed. There's money left over from those 3 projects, and so this budget revision would close out those 3 projects and move the remaining funds to the water booster pumps capital project. Sorry, that's a mouthful to say. The next item is leased assets, and, of course, we're required, as a government entity, to budget for leases as if they were purchases, and this budget revision accomplishes this. There's no cost to the county, no monies expended to do this, but it's simply a budget revision to carry out that item there. Number 10, updates, attendance update to minutes. The April, July, November, and December of 2024 minutes, and also January and February 2025, all need to be updated, and you have a list of those folks that were in attendance in each of those meetings. We need your vote to approve those changes to those minutes. Item number 11 is an appointment of Tesua Oxendine to the Community Advisory Committee as requested by that committee. And then, let's see, item number 12 is surplus EMS assets, requesting the surplus of a 2015 Freightliner chassis and then a second one as well. First one has 280,000 miles on it, it's inoperable. The second one was purchased as a demo and has 186,000 miles, but has recurrent mechanical and electrical issues. Current year, we spent over $10,000 repairing that chassis, so EMS is requesting both assets to be placed on GovDeals for bid. The next item is number 13, approval to advertise a part-time library position. That's in adult services to help with the summer reading program. and other items as well, but would certainly help with that particular program. It's refilling a position that has become vacant, and that became a vacant May 31st. So no additional funds. Again, it's already budgeted. The next item is item 15, which is acceptance of grant funding for the Veterans Service Office. And this, if you remember, you all approved a couple of months, maybe last month or the month before, gave approval to apply for this particular grant. We were awarded a grant of $18,288.97 that has to be spent on certain things for veterans. So we're asking for your approval to accept that grant. Number 16, trade-in of sheriff's office vehicles, $3,000 for trade-in of a 2003 Subaru Forester. It was a narcotics vehicle, and so we need your approval for that. And then number 17, approval to advertise a tax office position as a real property appraisal technician. Position has been vacated, and again, no additional funds as it's already in the budget. And then number 18, appointment of Dr. Jason Chafin from the community college to be the Caldwell Community College and Technical Institute representative to the local emergency planning committee. There's a spot for the college to have an appointment to that committee, and so they're requesting that Dr. Chafin, who's the chief of staff at the college, fill that appointment. Number 19 is a revision of an appointment term for Richard Harwood to the CAC. That term needs to be amended to be valid for 1 year. And so we need your approval for that. And that's, Mr. Chairman, that's everything that's on the consent agenda.
All right, so hearing the presentation by our interim manager, what's the pleasure of the board in adopting the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept this evening's consent agenda as the interim county manager has presented.
All right, any other discussion or comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And that brings us to our closed session, and so I will make the motion to enter into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A4, and that is to discuss a matter related to economic development, and then also General Statute 143-318.11A3, and that is attorney-client privilege for opportunity to speak to our attorney within closed session. So any other discussion or comment on that? All in favor say aye. Aye. And we thank you again for being here as we go into closed session. I hope you have a great evening.